just retort here because you spent 3 minutes making that point, and we've got 25 minutes for this segment. And I just want to say that when you're talking about morality, and you're talking about Sharia law and all these kinds of things, you mentioned something quite interesting. You said, our ordinary requirements for moral philosophy. You mentioned as well, like you've got deontological ethics, you've got consequentialism or teleological ethics, and then you've got virtue ethics.
Yes.
You pick up a book on ethics, like for example John Mackey, you're going to find this kind of classification. This is a Western classification. You mentioned two men, which are Immanuel Kant and John Rawls, both of which, in a sense, represent the white liberal tradition, both white men from the Western Hemisphere. My question is, why should it be that white men dictate to us what morality is? Have we had enough of this in this country, in a sense that, you know, this is now, to be honest with you, in a veiled sense. If you said our requirements for morality as if we've all subscribed to it, we have a completely different understanding and a completely different ontology. Why have you assumed that the white man is right? What proof that you have that is Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative, or his hypothetical imperative, or John Rawls' veil of ignorance, what you kept mentioning, any of that stuff is true? And what proof do you have that it's objectively true as an atheist? If we can get through this question, then we can talk about Sharia law and the false things that you were saying about it. For example, a woman that's menstruating gets burnt or something like that, or you get burned by it, or if you have sex with a woman that's menstruating, which is not mentioned in any book of fiqh in Islam whatsoever. And you mentioned it's mentioned in books of fiqh, it's not mentioned in any book whatsoever. Then you mentioned Khomeini, who was an obscure figure. So my question is, as an atheist, you have the audacity to say our requirements of moral philosophy, as if the white man's moral philosophy is all of our moral philosophies. No, we have divine command theory, we have Quran, we have Sunnah, we have our own way of deriving morals. What objective proof do you two have that the deontological ethics of Immanuel Kant and or the veil of ignorance of John Rawls, who's a liberal, both of them are liberal in a sense, and or any of the consequentialist ethics of any of the utilitarian thinkers of the modern day is objectively true?
So first of all, I think you play a very dangerous game when you attach secular ethics to race, and you rob people who are of many races of their human rights.
Like
when you say that it's a white man's game to talk about rights, or to try and abolish suffering.
No, I didn't say it's a white man's race. It's a white man's game to talk about rights. I said that what you've mentioned is a Western form of ethics. Is the ones who the knowledge producers were objectively white men, objectively from the liberal tradition in Europe.
You'll know about the genetic fallacy.
I'm not saying it's false. I'm asking you why it's true.
Yes. So let's first of all want to deal with this question of saying we can assess the content of the ideas by looking at the race and the sex of the speakers.
You said our moral philosophy. You've included me in your morality. I'm asking you to prove your morality before you say our morality. I don't subscribe to your morality. Answer me, why is the veil of ignorance of John Rawls or the consequentialist moralities of any of the liberal thinkers or the veil of ignorance or the deontological ethics of Kant is true?
I'll get to it. You're going to have to stop interrupting me though. Okay.
And,
so
just to add to you, so it enhances your discourse, you also mentioned rights.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I'm assuming you're advocating a liberal conception of rights, like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Well,
do you advocate the UN Charter?
The claim that I've made is that there are three different ways in which an atheist can construct morality.
I understood that. I just want to know specific, because you mentioned rights twice.
Yeah.
And it's very important to unpack these.
The deontological account can get you rights, and a consequentialist account can also get you rights. So
yes, but from the perspective of law, of legal and moral reasoning, and what your views are, so I understand how to deal with you and your beliefs in a positive way, what conception of rights do you advocate? Is it the conception of rights that is known as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
So first of all, I haven't expressed the personal view about ethics, and I don't intend on doing that.
Okay, you mentioned rights twice.
Could you say our ordinary?
Very nice, if I could
just.
The reason I'm saying is because rights are connected to morality.
You've asked him a number of questions. Can you just, for the sake of discussion,
I promise not to interrupt you.
5 minutes?
Give him at least
I just wanted to.
a minute.
I do apologize. I just wanted to add to that because that's going to be a follow-up question. So if you think about that, just let us know.
Yeah.
Because what I wanted to say was that has a liberal individualist assumption, which many people don't have to agree. And that's why when you come to the table with these universals, it does come across in some way that there's a sign of maybe superiority complex.
Yes, superiority.
And I don't mean it in a negative way. I'm just trying to psychoanalyze certain statements in a positive way so we know, and you could stand in the possibility that in actual fact that you may think you're already right. And I want you to stand in the possibility that you might be wrong. And if that's the case, then maybe define your terms a bit more clearer, especially when you're mentioning things like rights. Because rights is a big term, but it has ideological strong constructs. That's